Hello and welcome to actually my first ever X-Plane video. A couple people have been asking me to do one, and I ended up winning a plane on Facebook. Special thanks to Marshall Smith in the X-Plane GA and also Bush flying Facebook groups. A lot of fun, a lot of cool screenshots, videos where I will be dumping this onto there when I get a chance. So without further ado, we have a couple things we got to take care of. First, I have some very irritated people waiting to start their vacation. We are going to Diablo Lake. Diablo Lake is a kind of a dammed up reservoir in northern Washington, which we will be landing on in order to deliver all of these fine folks to the ferry for the Ross Lake Resort, which is just up the way over here. But more importantly, we have a rectifier panel for the power station. They had a fuse breaker basically melt, and it took a couple things with them, and unfortunately the Cascade Highway is currently blocked. Last night a Dorito truck tipped over and is blocking the entire road. There's bears, it's a mess. So basically the town has commissioned me and got this rectifier panel onto this flight, so we will be delivering both today. Starting out, this is a turbine plane, so you'll see a lot of more turbine specific controls here. This is my uncle's plane, and he was always a stick and rudder type of guy, so I don't actually have a GPS in here, but we don't need it. This is very rudimentary over here, and that's not really a valid nav tool. So let's get in the air and get started. These guys have been waiting for a while for them to drop that panel off, so I just closed that and I'm not talking to them, and that's generally how I do things, and it's working so far. Alright. First off, we want to make sure we've got our lights on, pitot heat is on, beacons on, nav lights on, and we'll get some defrost and blower fan going in here so that we have some HVAC going. We'll hit our nav master so we can get everything pre-configured. I'm going to be flying out of here at, let's see, we have to stay underneath 3,000 feet until we basically get to our first waypoint, which is the Payne VOR, which is services, I believe this is Renton? No. What airport is this? Snohomish County Payne Airfield. So we're going to be hitting up this VOR and flying out on a 019 radial for approximately 43 nautical miles to intercept basically the introduction of this canyon, and we're going to bear right as we descend through these mountain passes, which looks like they top out around 7,500 feet. We're going to be flying over this range briefly. And then once we go for 43 nautical miles, we will turn right 037 and then basically flip off the autopilot and come in for a landing onto Diablo Lake and hopefully not crash into the dam, which would be real bad for literally everybody here. So we gotta make sure our rudders, make sure our rudder is dipped into the water. Gonna click on a few clicks of flaps. My track IR is a little fussy, so please bear with me while I try to get this stuff under control. That looks about right. Alright, we're going to flip our inverter on and test our fuel pumps. So we will want to make sure we have fuel pressure, and our fuel pressure light comes off. Very good. And boost pump number 2. Looks good. Alright. We're going to flip on our P3 heater, which is a heating element on a pneumatic air pipe that goes into the fuel distribution block, I believe. And I guess Pratt & Whitney wants this to always be on, and so we shall do that. Alright, now we hit the ignition to make sure everything is clear. We are looking good, we're in good shape, and we're going to turn off our nav master, because you never want to turn on an engine with your radios on, because during the power spike, once this whole thing fires up, you can definitely damage your radio and more sensitive communication with that. Real quick, before we start flapping around, I want to make sure that the gyro is pointing in the right direction. Going to see between 50. Alright. Oh, that was easy. Okay. Looks good. We want to make sure our propeller level is in the increased position. We're at idle cutoff for the condition lever. We're at idle for the power lever. And we have fuel, which we got like definitely enough to make it there and back. It's not too far of a flight, so let's start this thing up. I'm going to hold this switch down, and that will be actually turning a starter motor in the turbine engine to get the turbine spinning. And once we observe around 12% on the prop RPM, we're going to introduce fuel. There we go. And we have ignition. We're going to let that stabilize for a sec while we take one more look at our maps. We will be flying basically straight south out of here, and we want to basically take a right turn right before we get into this airspace. We shouldn't go much further than the stadium, so there will be stadiums. It's going to be a VFR flight. Got our nav master. We have the VOR is already set and programmed in 110.6. I have it lit up right here. Everything is going. We've got set the transponder to 120. My DME is set. I'm going to flip this to 2,500 feet for now to make sure that we do not fly higher than that that airspace will allow us. As you can see in Seattle airspace, the floor is 3,000, so we can fly through there at 3,000 feet or less. 2,500 sounds good to me. With the engine on, we can turn off the ignition. We can leave all of this stuff off for now. We're going to advance the condition lever. You'll hear everything start to get happy. Make sure we're all set to go here. And we can pull the anchors up and get started. So let's start to taxi over to some open water and get in the air. This plane can be a little complicated to move around in the water because of its kind of odd weight distribution and an extremely powerful and lightweight engine. So basically, if you're not careful, you can just nosedive straight into the drink. So something to watch out for. going to clear this peninsula over here, and then before takeoff I want to flip my ignition on, my boost pumps, make sure my lights are all up, and then also lift the rudder because we don't want to be doing 80 knots with those little flappy doodles in the water because they will rip right off, and we will need those later. So everything is looking a-okay, our temps are looking good, autopilot preliminarily set. Set this to basically our takeoff heading. So we flip this on as soon as we get in the air, if we choose to. I might not. This plane is actually exceedingly fun to fly, sort of by the seat of your pants, so maybe I'll take it out of Seattle with no autopilot. See if we violate any FAA rules in the process. Alright, that looks good to me, so we're going to point it off, maybe a little more. Because the plane is so heavy, I'm a little bit wary to overshoot, because we're going to take some distance to get this thing off of the water here. This is not a small plane. This is a pretty sizable single engine overwing, so there's a lot of resistance going on with the pontoons and such. So alright, right now I'll be notifying everyone on CTAF that I'm getting ready to take off. I'm going to pull my rudder up. Hopefully you guys all don't get seasick from this. There we go. Flaps down. And get some airflow over that tail. Around 70 knots, but getting there is not super easy. It takes a while, like I said. Alright, I think we can probably get out. Here we go. And we're off. Cool. All that on. We can leave the starter, boost pumps off. Since everything seems to be running perfectly fine. And we'll gradually, as we gain altitude, bring up the flaps. Don't want to do it too fast because the plane will basically fall out of the sky, and passengers will not be appreciative. Additional stupid passengers. They're like flying cargo. I don't even know why these guys are back here. They're having a terrible time. Whatever keeps the landing lights on, you know. Alright, and one more click up. Cool. Alright, we're flying, guys. So this is the True Earth Washington pack, which I gotta say was a total pain to install. I had numerous problems with it not recognizing my X-Plane installation, putting libraries and files basically all spread across all these folders and filling up hard drives, crashing my computer. It was just a total pain. They are working on it, but right now I wouldn't recommend it unless you just really want scenery like this, which I wouldn't blame you because it looks pretty freaking good. I have roads disabled right now, so it's more or less the only satellite view. Alright, before we get to 3,000 feet, I'll level off, trim down a little bit, and back throttles off. You see Seattle waking up with a cup of, I guess what, Pete's coffee is what they drink there. Oh no, I guess it's Starbucks, that's Portland. It's Pete's because everyone's got to be different in Portland. I think I saw the stadium that we need to stay on the right side of. I think this is Campus Town down here, numerous buildings and complexes, so we'll head over this way to get back over water and see about intercepting that VOR at Payne. It's right up the coast that way. Autopilot in this is not great. It is a little bit confusing. Heading and then altitude. Alright, great. We are actually on autopilot right now, so we can make our turn to our northerly heading and take a look outside. So, like I mentioned, this is not my plane, this is my uncle's. He has been flying it out of Fiji as an expat and has gotten into a little bit of legal trouble, unfortunately, so I've been running it for him while he is disappeared, and could use a wash. That is absolutely certain. I was dropped off at Kenmore at the seaplane base to get some regular maintenance done. I think it had a glow plug put in or an igniter, and a couple minor things. And the funniest part about that is that these guys do not know they're on a test flight. Nor do they care. Or maybe they do. I don't know. Let's make sure this radial is set correctly. Coming at 019. Alright, cool. Our DME is working. We got 12.6 nautical miles. Banking for some reason. Hello? Heading. Do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so the reason why the autopilot probably sucks in this is because these planes are really freaking old. These originally came out in the 50s with a giant radial engine stuck on the front right ahead of the windshield area, and those became pretty outdated pretty quickly, but the airframe is just a workhorse. This has been in service all over the whole world, doing all sorts of the most punishing jobs that you can fly a plane through. So most of them have all been updated to the Canadian Pratt & Whitney PT6 turboprop, which is in this one, and which is one of the reasons why the nose looks so funny, because it's a long engine and it's also tiny. So that's why this plane has such an awkward look to it. It wasn't originally supposed to look like this. But it's an extremely powerful, lightweight engine, so who cares what it looks like? It's the job done, which is basically the whole look that this plane has got going on. I will hit it with a scrub brush when I get back, but I plan on doing a little bit of fishing while I'm up there at Diablo Lake, so can you blame me? Alright. We are going to be waiting for my VOR radial to light up and move over as we approach the 019 radial and get started on our outbound leg of this. At that point we could also start going up. We actually want to start going up right now. We're about down here. Let's see if we can see these oil. Okay, so there's all of the oil tanks and stuff like that as referenced on this VFR chart. We can actually probably start making our turn now. Prop RPM is maybe a little bit outside of the green, so we'll probably bring that back ever so slightly. That looks good. Condition over fuel flow. Back that up a little bit too. Alright. So you can see the airstrip down there that we're going to be flying over. Always want to keep an eye out for other airplanes when you're this close to a pattern, but monitoring the CTAF, I don't hear anything, obviously because there's nothing on there because it's X-plane, but otherwise you would be saying, crossing downwind or whatever. I don't really know a whole lot about that because X-plane doesn't have it, and I basically only know about X-plane stuff, so that's how that goes. Alright, we're right smack dab in the middle of that, so I'm going to flip over to our nav setting. Oh, I guess it doesn't have one. So, in that case, I'm going to continue my turn to stay on that leg. And of course, the closer you get to a VOR, the less accurate it becomes, and then it'll just eventually go all the way over, and then it'll come all the way back as you pass directly over the directional antennas. Try to see if you can actually see it down there. I think that's it right there. No, it wouldn't be. Well, anyway, there's a VOR down there somewhere, and we're using it to fly to Diablo Lake. As you can see, there you go, all the way over to the left, and then it will come back. This will flip over to, now that's to, now it's from, so now this is signaling that we're going away from it. Our DME will show us our miles, and there it is, coming right back. Alright, now we can almost start making our climb. We're going to get past, so the shore is going to make a kind of a left curve, so I can see that up there. Once we get past that curve, we will be able to accelerate up and away. Maybe, well, the plane thinks we're low on fuel. I think we were probably fine. We'll see. I'm a risk taker. Let's do it. If I can save a little bit of fuel here. Flip that over. But you can't knock it all the way down. Okay, let's do like 9,000 feet. At 500 feet per minute. Keep kind of gradual so they can steadily climb. We don't have to floor it. We're still a while away from the mountain, so that should be more than enough time to climb. Barely keeping up with the semi trucks on the the highway down there. Let's mess with this for a second. What do these settings do? Oh, that's lame. Use expanded. Oh, that's cool. Is that it? Oh, really? Download and tiles on demand. Can I get a topographic map here? I guess that's kind of topographic. Oh, yeah, that's good. This will be helpful. Say what you want about the new footage from Microsoft Flight Simulator. I still think it's a great looking sim. Toggle the yoke back on now, why not? Can't really see behind it so well, but I guess for the sake of authenticity, we'll leave it on. Temperature is getting close to 0, so I'm going to actually flip on my anti-ice on my engine, and also I'll flip the ELT on, and alright, that's it. It's all good. This is the emergency transmitter ELT, so once we get close to the mountains, you definitely want that on. Around here, I think if you went down, people would figure it out. Anyway.
Checkpoint.
Alright, we are unbelievably perfectly on course. So that's pretty cool. That was my autopilot kicking me off because I moved the tack out a little bit too high, trying to achieve that 1,000 feet per second. Woo! Sorry about that back there. plane is still technically registered in Fiji. So once I fix it up, once my uncle becomes a viable citizen of somewhere again, then the plane will go back to Fiji. That might be our canyon up there. We are only 17 miles out of Payne. We're going to be 43, I believe. Yeah, 43 nautical miles is when we're going to make that turn into the canyon, or over the canyon. There's going to be a big canyon on the left with some water in it, and there's going to be a canyon on the right. Alright, that looks like a canyon with the water in it, so that means we are probably going to be going down that way. See Mount Baker off in the distance on the left there. Pretty cool. We're still right on that 019 radial from that AMD VOR still, and we are coming right up on our sort of decision point where we're going to turn heading 037 and then approximately 24 miles from there is going to be Diablo Lake, our landing spot. Couple clouds coming in. I might descend a little bit early here since I do have a VFR flight plan. So let's go like 65. Like we're gonna fly through this cloud. Whoops. See, 41, that's 43 nautical miles, 037, so this is going to be 037, 3, 5, 6, 7. That's definitely, there's our canyon. we are no longer flying on that radio, but it got us here. Pretty sweet place. Got a little stream down there. Sandbars. Transfer some of the fuel into the front tanks from the rear. To do that, just flip this up to that, turn on the boost pumps. We'll watch this needle drop down, and these needles are going up. Ever so slowly. This will also help our balance out for the approach. It's going to the rear tank. So front tank goes to the rear tank. Rear tank goes to the front tank. Copy that. Actually going to flip off of the autopilot and do some flying. Get a little bit lower so we can get kind of ready for this approach as we come in on it. With floats, we should never exceed 140 miles an hour. Technically, it's 133 miles an hour, and it's weird that this is in MPH, but it is. See the little red line? That would be the do not exceed speed with floats on. And there might also be other planes flying around in this canyon, so I'm going to also flip on my land light just to be a little bit more visible. Okay, so my fuel gauge went back up. I wonder if this gauge only reads the front tanks? Huh, okay. Well, either way, we're fine. Be basically on short final right after that, so gotta get ready to slow down, make sure I can get my flaps. Actually, I can preset my flaps. I just won't pull the lever yet. I'm not gonna set them down there. I'll see where they go. Oh, is that it? That might be it down there. Descending into this canyon. Roll the throttle way back. On descent, we want our propeller and condition levers all the way forward. We want our boost pumps on. We want our ignition on. And that's just in case of an emergency, so that we can, if we get a flame out or something, we can start that thing right back up again. Turboprops are kind of interesting because you kind of have to drive them into the ground. They don't really descend very well otherwise. Here's my first click of flaps. Ooh. See how it goes. pretty cool. You can see our VOR just turned off because we're in the mountains, so we have lost radio signal for that. We want to be landing at right around our rotate speed, which is again 70 or so knots. I see quite a few power lines, most likely from the Diablo power station, which we will be servicing. You can see some down there. This is outside of the lovely little town of Diablo, which is a terrible name, and it is kind of funny because if you look at it on the maps, the entire town is sitting like basically directly underneath this giant dam that even if the smallest error were to happen, the whole freaking place would just wash right downstream. So, I mean, I wouldn't build a house there. It's obviously a very beautiful countryside to live in, but yeah, about that dam. Alright, so I can see the dam, I can see the power lines of the power station, so I'm going to maintain the speed. I'm going to put down my last click of flaps and get established on a final approach here. Make sure my trim is in good shape. And there's the Diablo power station. Actually, there's the town of Diablo right there. So you can sort of see what I'm talking about. It'll be bad news for those guys. Okay. Already looks a little bit leaky. I gotta admit here. As we slow down, I'm going to drop my rudders back in the water so I can make my turn. And there's the pier that we're going to meet these guys at. Well, at this point we can flip our ignition back off, flip our boost pumps off, pull our power or our ignition lever back, flip off our landing lights. Bring our flaps back up. Well, that was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for joining me. I hope that was okay. I hope it wasn't horrible to listen to my stupid voice this whole time. I've never actually narrated one of these videos before, so let me know if you want me to make another one of these. I have 1,000 scenarios of different planes, places to go, people to see, you know, that whole sort of thing. And yeah, let me know. Leave a comment. I don't care if you like it. I'd say don't like it. Either way, we made it, and substation is going to get their they're going to get their rectifier panel. These guys are going to get their ferry over to the resort, and I'm going to do some fishing. So until next time, see you later.